I didn't know for a long time that I was really loved because my husband was loving me in a different way. And so often we miss. I hear so many people say to me, "Ellie, we're so different in our marriage. The only thing that we've got in common is that we got married on the same day."
Oh, God, that'd be
and that's giving people license to get out of relationships. So firstly, it just transformed my relationship with my husband. And we're very different. And usually you're attracted to an opposite. And that could be another story that I could talk about. But you're drawn to opposites because that then completes you. And so in my philosophy right now, I see the value of somebody that is really different, even in business, looking at growing people that are in your business that are different because they bring a different flavour.
You always say that I'm always wrong.
So, Ellie, hello.
Hello, Ryan.
We already said hello 10 different times, but I still haven't worked out how to start things. For those that may or may not know about Ellie, you've got quite a profound story, traveling around the world, speaking. Was still actually speaking all the way up till COVID and international. I don't know how you managed to travel. When I was doing selling, I'd travel every 2 weeks, and it was just to New Zealand, and that was enough. So you got some skills. But just a bit of context, I'd be curious, like your story and how you got into be a people interpreter and a professional speaker, and what got you all here, do you think?
Well, Ryan, and thank you for the invitation today. I really appreciate that. I kind of fell into it only because I found a tool that really, really helped me in my marriage relationship, and then it went into the business that I was in. I was working in the airline industry at the time, and I found my staff, I could connect with them and engage with them and on another level. And that happened about 25 years ago. I heard a woman speak. Her name was Florence Litauer. In fact, during COVID, she passed away. Amazing woman. She was one of the top communicators in America. And when I heard her speak, I was on a mission to go and learn more. And so I went up to America 4 or 5 times, invested in myself that way, and I sat under her tutelage and came back. And over time, I would talk to anybody about it, what I'd learned. I'd talk to trees, I'd talk to anybody, and everybody was fed up with me talking about it. But they saw also, and I saw in myself, how I viewed the world, because sometimes in relationship you get a tiredness, and it wasn't like there was really bad things happening, but you're just on a roller coaster, and I was busy in the airline and working shift work, and sort of a tiredness. But when I learned about this tool, I viewed things from a different perspective, because I didn't know for a long time that I was really loved because my husband was loving me in a different way. And so often we miss. And I hear so many people say to me, "Ellie, we're so different in our marriage. The only thing that we've got in common is that we got married on the same day."
Oh, God,
and that's giving people license to get out of relationships. So firstly, it just transformed my relationship with my husband. And we're very different. And usually you're attracted to an opposite, and that could be another story that I could talk about. But you're drawn to opposites because that then completes you. And so in my philosophy right now, I see the value of somebody that is really different, even in business, looking at growing people that are in your business that are different because they bring a different flavour. So, yes, so it just started to. I've always been of the understanding that the more you speak, the more you speak. And I'm not a great marketer, but I learned the skill of being able to communicate really well. And in that, people talk about you. And so that's kind of how it rolled out for me. And so over those years, I had people contact me. I've got an amazing bureau that really believed in my work, and so they supported me and really sold me into their clients. And so that's kind of how it's rolled out. It was a lovely journey.
Well, that was a lovely story. We want to get into the nitty-gritty and the fears and the doubts, because I imagine there was a point where you're in this established career doing well, and suddenly you got this ignited passion. And then you talked about your partner, and they're a bit different in the way they think. So I'd be curious that first moment when you went from, hey, I'm going to actually try and do this, and like how you had to navigate that in your mind, or if the first challenges you had to knock on 1,000 doors and got 999 no's, or...
Well, I think I was ignorant and naive because honestly, I saw a lady that used to come through the lounge and she was the trainer for Ansett New Zealand, and I thought, I'd love to do that. And so I just, that little... I'd love to do that dropped inside me, and I got brave and I went straight to the chief executive once I'd come back from America and said, I've got a tool that I know our passengers are going to love and I'd love to teach it. And he said, I love your guts, Ali. So I'm going to release you in your role. And 3 months he allowed me to go through Ansett to train all the staff. So that was my endorsement that I could write trained Ansett New Zealand staff. So that gave me credibility. And so that's how it just rolled out. I never felt scared. I'd always say yes to everything. And that's another thing I always say. And then figure out how you're going to do it. And I have to say, honestly, Ryan, I've been put in places where I thought, oh, no, I can't do this. But, no, I stepped forward. I'm just a gutsy kid, I guess.
Well, because I've heard some stories about you being on the base camp of Everest, traveling around all these different countries. Tell me about that moment where you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to work it out.
Well, I guess I started earlier on. You know, we had acetates. You wouldn't even know what that acetate was with an overhead projector. You know, that's how old I am. But we had, I remember going to Waitangi and I was going to be speaking, and they put us in this huge marquee and it was white. Nobody could see the screen. So I had started to rely a little bit on my PowerPoint. It just gave me a cue as to, oh, what's the next thing coming up? Yeah, no, so it kind of helped me and assisted me. I could not use my PowerPoint. So I have to say, in raw terms, my bottom went tight. Just like this. And so I thought, what am I going to do? Panic. But you don't realise what's inside. Honestly, people don't realise what's inside. And I think there's a lot of people pivoting right now, losing jobs, but we don't realise what's inside. I'm from a large family. My dad died when I was 10. Oh, wow. And so a bit of survival stuff there that gave me the resilience and the backbone. My mother, I remember going at 16 years old, I went over to Australia to live. And she just said, Mum, Ali, God gave you a mouth, use it. Bye-bye. And, you know, it was just something that sat in my head. I thought, people are just human. They want to help. So anytime I got into a tight spot, I just knew that, you know, use your mouth. So kind of my mouth has sort of gone before, really.
Yeah, okay. It's taken you on journeys.
Yeah, it has, actually.
Well, I mean, if it's an unusual skill. It's not a common skill where people, one, can communicate and then also understand the person they're speaking to, because a lot of us, when we listen, we're actually thinking of what we're going to say next or how it affects us.
Exactly. Well, in the personalities, and this is the work that I do, is understanding people. How do I connect and engage? How do I read somebody? When you are aware of people when they walk through, are they walking fast, or are they more methodical, or are they more relaxed, or is somebody walking and talking as they walk past you? So all of those things, I'm looking for cues and clues all the time with people. So as I'm sitting here, I can see that you're a really grounded person. I know that there's fun in you because your eyes tell me they're sparkling, and they've probably got naughty eyes there, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't dare. No, don't tell Mum.
No. So you kind of look for cues and clues as to who that person is. And then you start talking their language. You see, it's so easy to talk past them. Like when you meet... can I talk about the model that I use?
Yeah, whatever you want to talk about.
So I believe there's 4 dominant. There's lots of personality profiling systems out there. I love this one because it's not about categorizing people. It's about what they need. We carry a tank, and that tank needs to be filled. How do I fill your tank if I don't know your personality? And for years, that's what I was doing to my husband, filling his tank the way I wanted it filled, not the way he did. He loves the quiet. He loves it when I go away for a week or something. You know, he's standing at the end of the driveway going, oh, my own music. I can blast what I love, you know. And you know, sometimes I could be offended by that. But that's how he restores his soul. Now, for me to restore my soul, I'm with people. I'm ringing up the next social engagement because I thrive and I feed off people. So just understanding that really can help. So the 4 dominant personalities that I speak on, and you can be a blend, and I'm thinking that you are a blend. There's the playful, and their desire is to have fun. They want to do fun in everything that they do. Everything is fun. The powerful is not fun so much. They like fun, but they want to get things done, and their time frame is now. So their whole mission in life is to move with focus, and they're very decisive. Then there's the precise, and those ones want to get it done properly, get it done right. And they have a lot of mental gymnastics about how they're even going to communicate, because they are thinking about, what am I going to say? How am I going to say that the best way possible? Because they want excellence in everything that they do. And then there's the peaceful. These people, in fact, in business now, they're looking at these to be fantastic leaders. And I've met many peacefuls that are great leaders because they are collaborative and they draw people, they listen, they know all the gossip. People dump on them, and they can work. They're really resilient type of people. So in the 4 types, playful want fun, powerful want to get it done right. Powerfuls want to get it done now. The precise want to get it done right, and peacefuls want no conflict. So that's the desires, but that's not the secret, the X factor. The X factor is what we need. So if I was to say to you about the playful, we want attention, affection, approval and acceptance. Now, I'm an older person now, and there's a bit of wisdom on my head. I don't go seeking that, but at 40 and 30, I'd be the one dancing on the table at a party. It's all about leaving an impression, Yeah. So that's the playful, attention, affection, approval and acceptance. And they'll do anything for it. So if any father is listening right now and they've got a teenage daughter that's a playful, if you don't daily say you're a princess, you're the most divine person, they're going to look for that in someone else if they don't give it. So it's learning to give what people need. Powerfuls don't need that. They want appreciation for all that they've done, and they want credit for all that they've done, and they demand loyalty. If they get a sniffer that somebody is against them, there's nothing like them to get rid of the offender. That's just what they do, shoot them. Okay. The precise have different needs. Their needs are space, silence, sensitivity and support. They come to work, they'll pour themselves out, and they like people, but they don't have to be with them. Where they get their energy is by being alone, reflecting, filling their tank that way. And the peaceful, what they want is harmony, they want no conflict, and they're the most loyal of all types. You'll have those people in your workplace for years if you know what to give them, and they all have the different needs. So giving a peaceful, that fact that it's not what they do that they want to hear, it's who they are that they want to hear. Whereas a powerful, they want to hear what they do. And can you see what happens in COVID when a powerful loses his job? That's scary for them because their greatest fear is loss of job and sickness. Why? Because they can't produce. They are the human machine. Peacefuls are the human being. So in my observation with you, I can see that there's playful in you, and I would say that there's peaceful in you, and there's some powerful in you, and I'm intrigued. What's your idea of fun, Ryan? My idea of fun?
Just adventure, letting go, not worrying, having no plan, just buying a ticket, going somewhere and then working it out. And then just sharing it with great people and just doing things that slightly scare me.
So you are a bit of a risk taker then?
At times, and also very conservative too. I
calculated risks. Like you think about it. Like for a playful, she's risk taker, but she doesn't think of the consequences. Which ask for forgiveness later.
True. I'll dance on the table, then I'll think, I might fall off, so I'll just dance in the middle of the table.
Okay. Powerfuls are the greatest risk takers.
Are they?
And they love new opportunities, especially in the financial area. But they don't share that with their partners as well. They make the decision, and sometimes the partner is a peaceful and they feel left out because this one's driving it all the time. Nobody can do it as good as I can. So they can kind of control that way. Precises are the greatest risk. They're risk averse.
Yeah.
They just got to make sure that, you are investing in my money in the best possible way and don't take any risk with me. And they're much more frugal too. They don't like to spend. They will spend on things that they love, like if they're musical, and usually they are musical, and entertainment would be the quality, the best. And so they'll put it off until they can buy the best. That's their type. So,
do you find there's certain sort of events that shape those archetypes, or do you think it's genetic?
I believe it's DNA. Yeah. And they've done a whole lot of testings on it. They've had twins separated at birth, and then they've had them come back, and you have no idea, the same desires, the same personality. These are identical twins. So in the research, I believe that, it's in our DNA. But that is not the only thing that defines you. The learned behaviour is the way you were raised, your childhood experiences, your beliefs, culture, and competency and skill. Those are the nurture, and nature would be definitely in the DNA.
Okay, fair. All right, well, there'll be reasons how you started crafting this. Obviously, listening to the lady speak and taking that on board, and then teaching the people and what Qantas was it?
Qantas International, that was in their first class lounge. But Ansett New Zealand, I was with them with day one. You probably don't remember that. You were probably in nappies, but that was about before 1990. And it was the airline that went.
Born, yeah.
No. Okay.
1991, if you're curious.
Okay, you were in nappies. Okay. All right. And I was in the Golden Wing Lounge, and that was their business class frequent flyer lounge. Yeah.
Okay. So now that you would have had these experiences that helped shape the perceptions that you have. So I'll be curious about that. And also at some point, I've learned through being able to read people a bit better and understand them that you also project certain ideas onto them before knowing them properly. You almost get too good at it and get reinforced that you're right. But then also there's times when you're wrong. Before we go in the background, I'll be curious how you navigate knowing a certain level of what archetypal person they are, and then also trying to explore the individual and not being too confident.
Yes, and we're all, the old ancient writings say that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. There's no one person like the other. But we can have similar traits, and that's all I'm speaking to is the similar traits. How can I identify with that person that's sitting across the table that sees the world differently? So in my communication with that person, if they're precise and they're sitting there in reserve, I'm not judging. I'm just thinking, okay, they're deep. They go deeper. They'll want to think through, process everything that's gone around the table. So it's just a matter of, it's just a simple tool that you can use so that you can connect. That's basically it. But, when I was talking to you, I could see that you are 3 in my model. So there's people that have been raised in a home, and sorry about that,
really do much.
Jordan. Been raised in a home where a father is a powerful and they're a peaceful. They will have to learn the powerful traits, because when you're a child and mum and dad says, get here right now, that child has to sort of hurry up, because the child is a cruisy child. They'll just lay back and they'll get there when they want to get there. But having a parent like that, you learn things, and that's where the competency and skill comes in. So to be honest, I don't go through life I enjoy it, I have to say. I sit at cafes and I watch and observe, and I see the ones that come in a group, and here's the powerful saying, look, I was here last week, have this, that and the other, pointing, telling the dummies what to do. And then there's a peaceful that comes and sits around the table and just has a bit of a chat. They never even pick up the menu before the waitress comes, because they're too busy trying to build a relationship there. And the playful are telling all sorts of stories that happened last week, blah, 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 and it's just filling the air. And so they don't pick up the menu either. And the precise is sitting there looking at the menu and thinking, does that soup have cream in it? So they've got the questions and they're going to ask that person, I don't want cream because that could be extra weight on my body, because these people are they're good with their body. Body definition is everything to a precise. So in my observing, I'm picking up things. Look, I get it wrong sometimes, Ryan, but most of the time now I get it right because I'm deliberate. I go into meetings, and when I get a sale, most often I sign off when I've been in a meeting, when somebody's saying, well, why should we employ you for our conference? I think once I've got in that room, I'm pretty well got the sale, because I'm deliberate about it. I'm not good at asking for the sale, and I've got in my head the sales model, and it reflects the personality. A good sales model is this. First of all, it's relationship building. When I met you and we're having a chit-chat, it's relationship building. Then we find out why we're in this room, ascertaining needs. Then we offer solution, and then we sign off. And that's a sales model. So what I find about those 4 processes in a sale, I see that the playful are good at relationship building. I could sit here and just chit-chat about that. I don't want to move to why we're here, and I don't want to, offer some solutions and, to ask me for a sale, to sign off. But I have that tattooed in my head. So when I come in, I'm deliberate about why I'm here, finding out why we're here, offering some solutions, and then challenging the person, saying, so where do we go from here? What's holding you back from me signing off for this? So you can use it. Sorry, I've just got a tickle in my throat.
No, that's all right.
You can definitely use it in all fields. It underpins everything. Think about leadership. I believe every person can be a leader. And I'm hoping that parents will be thinking about their children and how do you bring brilliance out in that child, because everyone can lead. Playfuls lead, they're inspirational. They never tire of encouraging. They were the up people during COVID. Look, let's make the best of this. Come on, this is, we can still forge ahead. What can we do? They're inspirational. Powerfuls are the visionary leaders. You open their mind, there's 10 irons in the fire, and they're always forward-looking. They know things are doable. So they're the visionary leaders. The precise are the strategic leaders. They're so clever. They can set goals out there and move back from that goal. They're just smart people. They're the Steve Jobs of this world. He's got powerful in him as well. And then the peaceful leadership is the diplomatic leader, the Mahatma Gandhis, the Nelson Mandelas, the ones that collaboratively work together and they get great gain without any conflict. So we all have leadership.
For sure.
So this is why I love this model. It underpins everything. Service, financial areas,
Yeah.
The
Massive.
vulnerabilities, playfuls overspend, always got credit card issues. The powerfuls they'll just do whatever they want to do, so they're crafty to get their own way. The precises are much more cautious, they're cautious buyers, and peacefuls have a tendency to sign off, for children's, mortgages and things. They want to please and they don't want conflict, so they will do those kind of things and they get themselves into debt. So and the debt trap is different for different personalities.
Oh, massively. Yeah, it was quite interesting in terms of, I use quite interesting a lot on the podcast, so I'm actually thinking, why am I saying quite interesting again? But it is interesting. But so when someone becomes aware, let's say they do their little test and they find out that they're a certain type of archetype, do you sort of have a framework to navigate that, being aware of yourself? Or is it more about helping influence or collaborative work together in a business with different archetypes? Or is it both?
Well, first of all, people buy from people they like. You've got to build a relationship, And I know some people can come into the negotiation table and they don't have to have a relationship with you. And I'm aware of that now. So I don't spend time looking out the window and saying, is it a nice day? How did you get to town? What was the traffic like? No chit-chat. Those powerfuls do not like chit-chat.
No.
Down to bottom line.
Yeah.
So why I'm using it is, the FBI use it to get into the criminal mind. Why can't we utilise this as a tool to just engage? It's about relationship. And let me tell you, the people that are more relational than the others, the playful and the peaceful are very relational. So if there was an upset in the office, the playful and the peaceful would stop and try to reach out to that person that was upset. Now, the powerful and the precise, their thinking is, we're here to do a job, we'll deal with that later. They're very task-oriented. So if you don't know your style, I haven't talked about that. Remind me about culture, because Auckland, New Zealand is multicultural and different countries have personalities. But let's say that you're a precise, powerful blend. These people are very good business people because they're there to do a job, get it completed, do it with excellence. They know the bottom line, but they also know the small print. They are brilliant at the task. But what they fail to be brilliant in is people. They can be offensive, they can be detached, they can be cool towards their colleagues, and some colleagues are looking and saying, well, what did I do? It had nothing to do with what you did, it's just their style. So if you know the blend, playful, powerful, if that's what you are, these people think this way, do things my way and we'll have fun. If you don't, you won't. So it's how you like your fun done and they'll drive the fun. I'm a playful, peaceful, so I'm fiercely relational. But I'm a business person too, so I've had to learn competencies and skills. If I don't come into that negotiation table and talk the facts and detail and sign off, I'm not going to get the sale. So we do build into our lives, in our toolbox, other skills.
Okay. I think it's a great way to depersonalize it in the sense where you're not taking it personal in terms of how they're saying things and delivering it to you. It's like, hey, this is the sort of box that you're fitting in and the archetype that you're a part of. So it's not so much me, it's just your communication style.
Yeah.
And also, you wanted me to ask about culture.
Yeah.
So.
No, but you're right about that. So I might have to bend and be flexible. They may not even be a powerful, and I'm figuring that they are a powerful. But I'll soon figure it out because this person will get edgy and they'll say, well, have we stopped? Have we finished? They'll come straight to the cut to the chase. Now, if I didn't know that, I could be offended by that. So I'm expecting a powerful to be short, sharp, to the point, straight up. I've got 2 children out of the same womb. Couldn't be more different. I've got one that gives me permission to live in my own house.
Very gracious of them. Very gracious.
Oh, she says, Mum, you're a professional speaker. Get to the point. Because she's an upfront, powerful. There's nothing she can't do. And then I've got the Kylie of this world that you've met. She's just so easygoing. Goes with the flow. It's in our DNA. You can miss a generation. It could be like... I could be like my grandfather rather than my father. So it's in that DNA. Now, culture.
Yeah.
Because New Zealand has so many new immigrants, and I love the diversity, it's wonderful. If we're not aware of that, because let me tell you, a lot on the North Shore, I'm from the North Shore, and there's how many thousands of South Africans? We love them. They're the best people to have as neighbours because they've got all the tools under the sun. They're just lovely. But their culture is precise, powerful. They're straight up type people. And if we don't know this, we can kind of be offended by their straight upness, but it's just how they've been raised in a culture. So, Ryan, you just think about the 4 that I've talked about. What do you think New Zealand culture is in terms of the personality that...
Peaceful.
Hey, you're absolutely right. Tomorrow's another day. She'll be right.
Yeah.
So can you imagine South Africans coming into our country thinking, because I've asked them, I say, look, can you tell me your perception of New Zealanders when you first came? They said, you won't tell anybody, will you? I said, no. So here I am to tell you.
Yeah, go on. Just don't name names.
Laid back, lazy. If the job's not finished, they'll do it tomorrow. They don't work like that.
Yeah.
And so this is the fun part of my work. So all the Pacifica group would be peacefuls. The Latinos are the Filipinos, playful. They would be like that. Through Asia, right down into India, they would be precise. Their parents have said to them, son, when you go to that university in Auckland, there's going to be 500 people going for that same job. You better be the very best. So they have the disciplines of 3-year-olds learning music. And so that's their culture.
Yeah.
So you could be a playful Asian, but you've got very much the strong precise in you. So there's parts of you that you bring as you are nurtured.
Okay. Well, on the notion of culture, you've travelled a lot, so there must be a story there somewhere. Well, how did you end up in Everest on base camp?
Well, there's an organisation in the world, it's a global organisation. And you see, I said yes to something there, and to be honest, they just said, we can't pay you, but we'll fly you there. And they flew me to Vancouver. And this is why saying yes. I said yes, and I didn't get a fee for that, but you know what? That rolled out 62 cities around the world for me. So saying yes, being smart about the big picture, and I never imagined it would roll out that much. But I said yes in Nepal. Now listen to this one. I was speaking to entrepreneurs in Nepal, and there was an entrepreneurial man there, and he said, you know, Ali, in Kathmandu tonight, there are about 400 village women, aspiring young entrepreneurs. They've come into the city, and we would love you to come and speak to them. And when I'm with my client, I don't care. They can use me, abuse me. I'm there to serve them. That's part of my added value. And I said, of course. And he said, we can't pay you. And I said, it's not a problem. I carry this. This is more than money for me. I said, I'll be there. So the next day I spoke. The very next morning, he phoned up and he said, there are youth aid workers, global youth aid workers. It's a 17-seater flight, and one has gone sick. We would love you to join us for breakfast on Everest Base Camp. And you want to hear the finish of that story?
Yeah.
I thought, I've got to be in Calgary in 4 days' time, and I spoke. When I came out, I was so excited. I had to talk to somebody. So he was a stranger, and I said, I'm going to base camp like this. And he said, I'm a pilot. I've been here 7 times, and I wouldn't go up to Lukla. Lukla is where Edmund Hillary had all his schools and hospitals. He said, it's the most dangerous airport in the world. It's like this. You fly into it like this.
Yeah.
And he said, I wouldn't do it. He said, there's so many crashes. Well, fear gripped me. I thought, I've said yes, and now he's telling me not to go. So I Googled both my daughters. I wouldn't tell my husband because he's a precise, and he would have said, you don't go, all right? You've got to get to Calgary in 3 days' time. You get caught up there. So I knew I didn't have to ask him, but I asked my 2 daughters. Now, Kylie, she said, Mum, die on the mountain. It's your pinnacle. Just go, enjoy. Because there'd been a crash only 10 days prior. So then I wrote to my daughter, that's the powerful, and she said, "You're stupid. Did you realise you've got grandchildren? Do you want to see your grandchildren grow up, Mum?" No, because she doesn't like anything like taking risks on one of these. They're great risk takers, but she thought that would be dumb. Anyway, I listened to Kylie, and so here I am to tell the tale, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, what's the culture like? And did you find much difference from being the amount of people up on base camp and people in the city?
Well, I wasn't there long enough because honestly, I wasn't fit. You got to be fit to be up there. There's very little air. I was up there for about 5 hours. He said if you'd overnighted, you wouldn't be alive. And I had to walk slowly. And so the people that were at this base camp, which is a lovely facility, you helicopter from Lukla up there, but then you go on to base camp, but it's just across the way. So these people were just gentle. The Nepali people are really gentle.
Yeah, okay.
The most embarrassing moment of my life was in Nepal because my husband is he organises me well, he gets my money, but we couldn't get any rupees for Nepal. And so when I arrived there late at night, I only had a little bit of money, and I thought, 4 rupees, that sounds like $4 American. It was 4 cents. I tipped a guy 4 cents to carry my bags up about 3 flights of stairs. When I woke up in the morning, I did my calculation. I thought, how embarrassing is that? So I scooted around, tried to find him, and I certainly indulged him. But there was one time that I didn't do well. Yeah. It's understanding people's culture as well, I was in the Middle East, and, I've got a signature story, and in the Middle East, this man hovered around at the very end. He had an Armani suit on. He was a very wealthy man, and he had to wait till everybody had gone, and he came up slowly, and he said, "That story you just told, I am that father." And there's nothing more richer for me as a person to know that I connect on that deep level, because it's about a father that's powerful. He's got a peaceful son. Every time he comes home, his son is 17, is lying on the couch watching TV and eating. And this father doesn't relate to that. At 17, what was he doing? He was down at the gym, he was down at the rugby club, he had a job 3 nights after school. And he said, "Son, why don't you get off and get down to the rugby club," because he wanted him to be like him. But he said at this talk that I gave, he stood up just before the end, And he said, I want to tell you, I'm a captain of industry. I've earned a lot of money. He said, I consult to small businesses, and tonight I'm successful in business, but I'm a failure at home. I'm a failure because most nights I see this son at home and he's on the couch. And he said, we've got to disconnect. So we're just so disconnected with each other. And he said, I've got business to do. And he drove home that night and he said, he made a vow to himself. Because what he realised in my talk was, I have a son that's different. He's a peaceful. And he started to think about his son. His son comes home from school. He drops his bag there. He does his homework. He helps his mother, does his chores, and then rest is his reward. You see, peaceful's reward is rest. It's not powerful's. So when a father comes home and sees the kid lying on the couch, he thinks he's been there all day, but he hasn't. He's done his tasks. They work hard, but rest is their reward. So if you don't know that, there was this tension, and there was a transformation in that man with his son in the Middle East as well as up in Whangarei where I spoke. So those are the things that get me out of bed, Ryan, is the stories that I tell and the connections that people have with it. It's filling this before the head. Fill the heart before the head. People don't want to know. They don't want tools that are just going to be up here. They want it to resonate here. We're wired for this.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, that's so important. I mean, I made that mistake in speaking, is just filling people's minds with facts, but they remember how you made them feel as opposed to what you said. I'll be curious on the feeling and the connection side of things, because when we first spoke, we talked about relationships, and we haven't actually delved into that side of things in this podcast. So I'll be curious, because my PB for a relationship's only 2 years, so you've done a lot better than me. So I'd be curious
what I'm giving you a book today, my book. It's a bestseller, so I'm sure that you're going to get a lot from it. I get a lot of really good responses from the book. And we're drawn to opposites. And before marriage, you're fascinated by that. But after marriage, you're frustrated by it. And so that might be another podcast, but, how we do romance too. Different personalities do it differently. That might be a nice, interesting session.
Yeah, all right. Okay, well, we'll keep the people waiting and wondering. So on the closing remarks, in terms of one thing you want to be remembered by, and then also how would people find you? Because we've done the relationship part of the funnel. We've got to tell them how can they find you as well.
Well, it's easy. Just Allison Mooney, with Allison is 2 L's, and I don't do a lot of activity on LinkedIn, but I've got a LinkedIn, page as well as, but www.allisonmooney.co.nz, and anybody that writes to me, I will always respond, because that's what I feel I've got a calling, The hunger of life is to feel that you've actually contributed in leaving a legacy. That's one of our great hungers. We're all trying to find it. We find it in our work, in our sports, whatever. So for me, I'm so pleased that I have that through that, probably that dry time in my life, and I think desert times are the best because you learn so much. Look where it's taken me. It's just I'm surprised at myself. So saying yes, but people are the most important in this world. We're made for connection, and there's a lot of aids out there: alienation, isolation, dislocation, and separation. And there is that disconnect. How can we bring people together? I guarantee if you start looking at personalities, then there's the connection. Okay.
All right. Well, that's rattled that off pretty well. It's good closing remarks. And in terms of your website, I'll make sure it's on. So anyone that's listening, then the website will be in the description, and then also the LinkedIn will be under your name. And once again, you got to rate, you got to give us reviews so more people can hear about it. And also, if you want someone to make you sound silky smooth, nzaudioeditors.com can do books, can also do podcasts, can also make things up as he goes. So just ask him stuff and see what happens.
Thanks, right. Jordan.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, Ellie.
Thanks.
All right, we did it. Now